this time you are going to do what is called a supervised classification. So I told you the difference between unsupervised and supervised last week. In supervised classification, we will tell the classifier, okay, these pixels are these pixels belong to this category. So any similar reflectance values should be assigned to that particular class. So we are going to tell the classifier algorithm to work based on the samples that we provide. Okay. So that is the basics about supervised classification. Technically very similar. What you did in the last week, we are going to do today. There is like a small part called accuracy assessment that Kuku will explain at the end. So after which, if you have any doubts, I will explain it further. And as I'm repeatedly mentioning, we will see a little bit more of the concepts in the theory class once we complete the current discussions, what we started. Okay. So with this, maybe Kuku, you can start. At the end, I will tell them if they need any other explanation.
Okay, sir. So, like sir said, in supervised classification, we are training the algorithm, like what each pixel belongs to which category. We are telling the algorithm in prior, and based on that pixel values and the statistics from that, it will classify the remaining pixels into different classes. So mainly the Earth Engine uses machine learning algorithms such as CART, that is classification and regression tree, then random forest, naive Bayes, and SVM algorithms for classification. So for today's lab, we are going to use classification and regression tree algorithm. So this is a decision tree algorithm where it will classify our data will be classified based on certain decision rules. So there will be a root node will be there. So from the root node, again the data will be split into different nodes, and finally the end node, that is the leaf node of each branches, will be our output, that is to what class it belongs to. So these which parameter we should take, which attribute we should take as a root node, is decided by some index called information index. So for each parameter, it will calculate the information index, and whichever is good for splitting the data, which is having the highest information gain, that will be used for splitting the data into different branches, like a tree. So the final output of, like, final node of these decision trees will be our output, that is these data belongs to which class, like agriculture or urban water body, etc. So that is the basic. So today's lab, we are going to use classification regression tree algorithm. So we'll just go to the coding. So like always, import your data. So I have used area where like cloud-free image is available. Landsat surface reflectance image is imported, and for the date between January 2020 to August 31st, and first image we have imported, and just add the layer, the TCC of the image by taking the bands 432. Also we can add the FCC of the image. So this image we are going to classify today. This the TCC and FCC of the image. Now next we will first step is like we have to collect the training data to train our model. So for that we will create the training points for different classes. So for that, create a new geometry, that is select new layer. First we take the training points of agriculture land. Name as agriculture, and we are going to collect different points under this category agriculture. So we'll say import it as a feature collection. So select feature collection and click on property. So here you can give land cover as property name, and its corresponding value we will give as 0 and click OK. Now we need to collect the training points for agriculture land. Let's change the background image as satellite imagery. You can use the collect the training points as either rectangular or point also. So rectangular means it will calculate the average value. Point value means whatever value is corresponding to that particular point it will take. So try to collect the training points from different areas in the map, like each agriculture land itself, each area will be having different spectral indices. So spectral range. So collect the data from randomly collected from like overall imagery. So around 30 points we have collected for agriculture category. Next, we will collect the data for training points for water body. So give the name as water, select feature collection. Again give the property name as land cover and the value as 1. For agriculture we gave 0. So here for water we give the value as 1. Click OK. Now we will collect the training points for water body. Next we will for forest or vegetated area we can collect the training points. Properties again land cover. Its corresponding value is 2. So, Always collect all the training points within the image. Next, we will just collect the training samples for settlements. Cover values 3, click OK. Now next we will create one more category called for barren land. So now we have collected around 30 points for each of the classes. Now we will merge each of these feature collection to one. So we'll name it as a variable classes equal to. So first we will merge agriculture dot merge. So now we have merged our training points of agriculture, water, forest, settlements, and bare land. So it will give the feature collection. Total 155 elements are there, and so each will have one particular ID, and each feature will have its property name we gave as land cover, and it's for agriculture means its corresponding value 0 will be there. So for each feature its corresponding one property and value will be there. Now next is like, so we have collected all the training points. Now we have to overlay these training points over our image. So for that, we use this samples region function. So first we will select the bands over which you want to overlay the this training point. So we'll select band 1 to 7 of Landsat 8. So bands we have selected. So create a variable called training. So input is our input data, Landsat data, dot select the bands. So from Landsat data we are selecting the bands 1 to 7, and to use the sample regions function to overlay these training points onto our image. So sample region arguments are our image dot sample region, then the collection, the regions to sample over. So here for us it is classes. So these are the points we have collected. We have named it as classes. So give the collection as classes. Then next argument is properties, the list of properties to copy from each input feature. So here we have given the property as land cover. So for each feature it will take that particular property, and the scale give us 30. Now if you print this training, this would have added a new feature also. So each feature will have its particular band values also. So for each feature its corresponding band values also will be given. Our training data is ready. Now we will train our classifier. So for that, just use the classifier. So here, as I've told you, we are using Smilecart. So just search the classifier. It will show a list of classifiers. So from that, we are going to use ee.classify.smilecart. So this creates an empty classifier. So here arguments are, we can give the maximum number of nodes, how many branches you wanted to create, maximum number of leaf nodes in each tree. So how many classes you wanted to classify it to, and in each category how many number of pixels you wanted to select. So these things you can give. So create a variable called classifier, and we have used the ee.classify.smilecart classifier. Then now we are going to train this classifier. So for training you have to use .train function. So under classifier we'll just see the So this will train the classifier on a collection of features using the specified numeric properties of each feature. That is, in our case, based on the pixel values, it will train the data. So arguments are the particular classifier you're going to use, and input are the collection to train on. That is, here we have our training data, that our collection is training, and class property is land cover. Then input properties are those particular bands, the band list we have created here. So this created our classifier. Now we will run our classifier over the entire image. So for that we created a variable named classify. So use our input data. So we are going to use this classifier over our entire input image so that it will classify the entire image. So input, and from that we will select the bands, that is 1 to 7, dot classify, give the classifier name. So the classifier name we have given is classifier. So inside classify function, give the classifier name. So this will classify our entire image, that is our input image, it will classify. So we can just display the classified image. So map.add layer classified. Then our minimum value we have given is 0, maximum is 4. Total we have 5 classes, and give a color code for each of the class, and classification name we have given. So this will classify our entire image into different classes. So if you use like the legend codes that we have used in the previous class, we can show the legends also. Thing like same as that in the previous class, give the legend key colors, then type the code for the legend box and all these, and just run. So this will create the legend box. So here yellow represents the agricultural land, and blue is for water, dark green for forest, and settlements are given by red color, and barren land by brown color. So here name I have given as settlements. So firstly we have created the training data, like we collected the training points, then we have overlaid those points over our image, and collected the corresponding pixel values from the image, and then we trained our classifier using these training points, and finally using the trained classifier we classified our entire input image, and we displayed it as classified, displayed the classified image over this map. So you can check these with the satellite imagery behind. So here yellow pixel, yellow color belongs to agricultural class. So in between some pixels are wrongly classified as settlements also. You can see some red pixels here, but actually there is no settlements there. And also some vegetation pixels are there. So here actually one water board is there, but it hasn't classified it correctly. So when we use more number of training data, like the representation of each class, if we collect more number of training points, your classification will be more accurate. So here I have used only very less training points because of the time constraint. Here it has captured this water body. So now we will the accuracy of this classification. So in order to calculate the accuracy of this classification, usually we will generate one error matrix. So that error matrix will compare the relationship between our like one reference data and its corresponding results obtained from this classification. So we'll check for each pixel how it is actually on the ground and how like what it represents in our classified image. So for that we need to collect some validation points. That is our ground data we have to collect. So since we don't have any ground data, we'll based on the satellite imagery behind, we will just collect some create some ground validation points for calculating the accuracy of our classified image. So for that it is same like how we have collected the training points in the beginning. Now we will collect the validation points for each classes. So first we will collect the validation point for agriculture class. So we just name it as V agriculture, which represents validation point for agriculture. We'll again name the property as land cover and give its value as 0 and then click OK. So for validation, don't take the same point as we have used for training point. Use new points for collecting the validation point. So just untick this. So we'll first select collect the training points for the agriculture category. So I will collect here some 10 points. Next we will collect for water body. So keep the name as V water. Again select feature collection. Give the property name and value. So here and all we haven't collected the training points, so we'll use these points for validation. Using these validation points, we'll check whether our classified image has correctly classified each of the pixels. So 10 points for water body is collected. Next we will collect for forest. Next for settlements we'll collect the training data. Sorry, validation data. Exactly 10 points. Next for finally for barren land. So we collected 10 validation points for each of the classes. Now again, like for training data, we'll merge all these points, validation points. The name variable. Just merge all the validation points. Give the same name as we have given here. So now we have merged all the classes. So like training points, this feature collection also will have each feature will have its corresponding properties.
Ma'am, barren land you have missed. V barren land. Did you just given barren land?
Yeah. Thanks, Sandeep. So now we have agriculture, we water, we forest, we settlement, and we land. So now again, like what we have done in training points, we'll apply this to our image. So same as there, here our input image is classified image, and give the dot sample regions and collection, our validation classes we are giving. Input feature name, property name is land cover, scale, you have to corresponding for Landsat 8 it is 30, give the scale. So this will, like previously shown, it will show the what is for classification, what was the value, like our classified image, and the corresponding what exactly that particular land cover represents. So our validation, like if you take this first pixel, first training point we have collected, here classification is our value for our classified map. So if you click anywhere here, you can see that for that particular point, that class pixel value of that classification image is 0. 0 means agriculture. So now here our validation point, when we applied onto our classified image, we have classification and corresponding validation point, what is the value. So from these we will calculate the error matrix. So error matrix is nothing but it will give the relationship between our reference data, that our validation data we have collected from our ground data. Here we have used from this imagery only we have used. So that reference data and the corresponding results we have obtained from our classification, it will create a matrix form. So for that, just give the variable name as confusion matrix. So validation dot error matrix. So error matrix function will calculate the confusion matrix. This error matrix is also called as confusion matrix. So this will compute the 2D error matrix for a collection comparing two columns of a collection, one containing the actual values, that is our validation values, and the one containing the predicted values. So it will be a table whose rows will be representing the actual values and columns will be representing the predicted values. So its input arguments are give the collection and give the parameters, the name of the property containing the actual value. So for our validation point, we have given the name as land cover. So name of the, that is our property name. So land cover is for our validation, then predicted, that is our classified image. So its name is classification, as you can see here in the console tab. So classification is for classified image, and for validation image, property name is land cover. So here we have given validation dot error matrix land cover. Yes.
How did that classification that did we give any time, like we give a classification name anywhere?
Yeah, classification map is the classified image, like we have created here in the entire image we classified, right? So
Yes,
that image is the classification.
I have a doubt that how did that we never given class here, this name, a map name is given as that classification.
Just that layer it is its corresponding value it is just giving.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
So that's what I have shown. If you click on this classified map, what is its corresponding value? So that is our like property name here for the classified image. Our final output classified image, it is having a property classification. If you print here, so it is having the band called classification, and its corresponding values will be that number which is corresponding to that particular class. 0 for agriculture, 1 for water, 2 for forest, like that. So that
Okay,
is
ma'am,
that.
got it.
So here confusion matrix we are calculating. So property name for our validation data is land cover, and for the predicted our classified image is classification. So this is the confusion matrix. So each element for 0 represents agriculture, then water, forest, settlements, fallow land. The validation points, 10 points we have collected. It is showing how it is classified in the classified image. So for you to show just like this, if you like put it here, it is showing as each column. So when you put it, it will be like that. Your reference data will be there, your classified data will be there. So this will give, like here the diagonal matrices will represent the correctly classified pixels. So the 6 pixels, that is 6 agricultural pixels are correctly classified as agriculture pixels. Then this 10, it is correctly classified as water. 9 pixels are correctly classified as forest. 10 is correctly classified as urban. Similarly, 7 fallow land pixels are correctly classified as fallow land. So these diagonal elements will give the correctly classified number of pixels. So this is how the error matrix will look like if you arrange each of these columns into this table. So here our first value will be 10 0 0 0. So here it will be 10 0 0 0. So you can just values here. Zero, 10, 0. Previous values for the code I have written here. So here now the values have changed little bit. So this is our error matrix. So from this error matrix, we can calculate many other statistics which will give the accuracy of our classification. So from this, we can firstly calculate the overall accuracy of our classification. So this is calculated by taking the ratio of total number of correctly classified pixels and the total number of reference pixels we have used. So correctly classified pixels here are 10 plus 10 plus 9 plus 10 plus 4. So that divided by total number of pixels we have used for validation. That is like total number of pixels. That will be 50 here. So each class, for each class we have taken 10 pixels. So if you add all these values divided by its total number of reference pixels, that is 50, you will get the overall accuracy. So that we will just first print here.
And second, Coco.
Yes, sir.
Go back to the table. Fallow line, only 5 pixels are seen. What happened to the other 5? You have taken only 5?
No, actually I have taken 10 points.
So there is something missing.
For the other classes, it is coming correctly. For parallel,
Yes, that is true. That's why I have a doubt, whether pixels are taken. Maybe you may have to look at the, your statement somewhere. It problem. Leave it, but that should be there.
Oh,
That should
I will better explain this
Huh?
result, I think. I will just explain with this result.
Please
here
go
it
ahead.
was,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So here also I have taken 10 points for validation. So like each row is having total 10 pixels. So based on this, I will now tell the other accuracies. So we'll just change this table. So here correctly classified pixels are 6, 10, 6 for agriculture class, 10 for water body, 9 for forest, 10 for urban pixels, and 7 for fallow land or bare land. So first we will calculate the overall accuracy. So for that use the dot accuracy function. Confusion matrix dot accuracy. So this will give the overall accuracy of the classified image. We have named our confusion or error matrix as confusion matrix. So confusion matrix dot accuracy will give the overall accuracy of that classified image. So that is 0.84. So that is obtained by adding 6 plus 10 plus 9 plus 10 plus 7 divided by 50. We have taken total 50 pixels. So that will give you 84%. So 84% is the overall accuracy of this classified imagery. So when you take more number of training pixels for classification, your accuracy will be more. So here I have taken like very few number of training points only. So when you do your assignment, take more number of training points. So this overall accuracy will give the overall classification accuracy, but this will not be like good when you need to know about the accuracy of a particular class. Like suppose we want to know about in this classified image how the agricultural pixels are classified, whether all the for agriculture class all the pixels are correctly classified or not. So this cannot be obtained from this overall accuracy. So in order to know about the accuracy of each of the classes, there are other measures called as producer's accuracy and user's accuracy. So here we'll print the user's accuracy. So for that give the your error matrix dot consumer accuracy. So user's accuracy is, here you can see that out of the pixels, like 6 pixels are correctly classified as agriculture, but 1 pixel which is actually belongs to forest is also classified as agriculture. So this will give us, like in the classified image, whether that particular pixel which is belonging to the agriculture is really agriculture pixel or not. Like compared to our ground data, whether it is actually that pixel is actually agriculture or not. This will be given by the user's accuracy. So user accuracy will tell how each class in the classified image is, how accurately it is classified. So in order to calculate this user's accuracy, we'll take the sum of correctly classified, take the ratio of correctly classified pixels, that is here it is 6, divided by the total number of pixels here, that is 7. So out of total 7 pixels, like 6 is accurately classified as agriculture, but 1 pixel, that is here, this 1 pixel which is classified as agriculture is actually forest. So 1 forest pixel is included in this agriculture category. So its user accuracy is 0.857.
I think Cuckoo, is that correct? User sees, just to go back to that. 6 plus 1 is 7.
Yes, sir.
Is it not?
6 plus 6
row
divided
total
by
is 7.
Huh.
So that actually how many are there is originally 10, is it not?
yeah,
I
but
think
sir, for
7 by 10.
but so for users accuracy, it is actually how many pixels are classified into that category divided by like total number of
training samples.
not training samples, no. So the
Sorry.
raw
Total, you are right. 7 is actually now, right? Okay,
Huh.
okay. I got it. 6 by 7, correct. Okay, 6 by
Huh.
7.
So
Yeah,
that
your original is right. Okay, fine.
so we got the for agriculture category we got the user's accuracy as 0.8. That is from the user's perspective, the one who is using that classified map. So he can say that the agriculture land is having 0.85% accuracy. That is like how much accurately that pixels in the
You are right.
classic
Right. You are right.
Agri uh, yes, sir. So agriculture categories actually belongs to agriculture class. So similarly, we can calculate for each classes. For water, it will be 10 divided by, so all the 10 water pixels are classified as water itself. So 10 divided by 10, it will be like 100%. All the pixels are correctly classified as water. Similarly, for forest, if you take 4 pixels are actually classified as forest, but 9 pixels which is belonging to 9 pixels are actually classified as forest. That is this diagonal pixel, but in that 4 pixels is also which is actually belongs to agriculture category is also added as forest. So total 13 pixels are there. So in that 9 pixels are 13 pixels of a forest category is there. But in that 9 is only actually forest, but 4 pixels are belonging to agriculture category. So user's accuracy will be 9 divided by 13. So that is listed here for each category. So 0 belongs to agriculture. So agriculture is having a user's accuracy of 0.857. Water is having a user's accuracy of 1. Then for forest land, it is having 0.69. Similarly, for urban land, it is 0.769. And fallow land, 1. That is simply like number of correctly classified pixel. That is your diagonal pixel divided by the row total. That will give you the user's accuracy. So this will tell you in the classified image how much each class is accurately classified. So that is user's accuracy. So similarly, we can calculate the producer's accuracy also. So producer's accuracy is like here if you take the column, out of all the pixels, like 6 pixels are classified as agriculture pixels, but the 4 pixels which is originally agriculture is classified as forest. It is wrongly classified as forest. So this is our reference data. So 10 pixels we have taken as reference data. So out of that, only 6 pixels are really classified as agriculture, but the remaining 4 pixels, it is wrong. It is actually forest. Out of the 10 pixels, 4 pixels are actually forest. So our producer's accuracy will be the total number of correctly classified divided by the column total, that is 6 divided by 10, that is 0.6 will be the producer's accuracy for the agriculture category. So this will tell us like when we introduce a new data to our classifier, our trained classifier, how it will predict the class. We are giving a new data. So validation we have taken 10 new points. So when we applied it to our classifier, how it is like classifying the image, that will be given by this producer's accuracy. So that will be here 6 divided by 10. That will 0.6 is the producer's accuracy for agriculture. And in case of water body, 10 divided, all the 10 pixels are correctly classified as water itself. So 10 divided by 10, it will be 1. And for forest, 9 pixels are classified as forest, but 1 pixel which was also forest is classified as agriculture. So 9 divided by 10, 0.9 will be its producer's accuracy. So for urban, all the pixels are correctly classified. So 10 divided by 10, 1. That is, all the pixels are correctly classified. So for fallow land, here it is 7 pixels are classified as fallow land, but 3 pixels which are actually fallow land is classified as urban. So here correctly classified pixels are 7 divided by total number of column, that is sum of the all the column rows, it will be 10. So that will be producer's accuracy for fallow land is 0.7. So in order to calculate producer's accuracy, confusion matrix, that is our error matrix name dot producer's accuracy, this function will give the producer accuracy. So as we have seen in this table, so the producer accuracy for agriculture is 0.6, water body is 1, forest is 0.9, urban land is 1, and for bare land is 0.7. So that is from producer's perspective. So how much our classifier is accurate or not, you can understand through this producer's accuracy. So next is like another measurement is kappa statistics. So this will calculate based on a random classifier how accurate our classifier is given by this kappa statistics. So for that, actually deleted that. The function dot kappa confusion matrix dot kappa, this will give the kappa statistics. That is based on a like randomly choosing pixels and simply classifying it, and compared to that, how accurate is our classification from our using our classifier. That is given by kappa statistics. So that is 0.799. So these are the different accuracy measurements we can estimate from this error matrix. Any doubt?
Ma'am, in the starting we considered 30 points per each for thing, each cluster, no, ma'am.
Yes.
Is there any particular number like till like any good for you said like we can consider more points?
Usually for a normal Landsat like seen 50 points or around 50 points will be good for classifying. So if we are having a very large area means like according to that you have to take more number of points.
50 points.
Sushant, the thumb rule is there's no hard and fast rule, but the thumb rule is if you have n bands in an image that you're going to use, better to use 10 into n times the number of points for classification.
So we are using 7 bands here, 7, 10, 70.
Normally, yeah, it depends on the kind of bands you have, and also many factors actually, the aerial extent, the number of classes you are going to do, everything is going to matter. but always good to have the thumb rule 10 into number of bands. Typically, that's the normal rule they follow. But it doesn't have any physical basis, just a kind of like a thumb rule.
Yes, sir.
And per class, it is per class. So for water, you should have 70 points like that. It's per class, you should have 10 into n points.
Okay, sir.
And
Thank
also, you may not get 10 n points. That is one thing for all the classes. Second thing is, you should get the training points distributed across the entire image. Not all the 70 points shouldn't be concentrated on one zone of the image. It should be spread well across.
Yes, sir.
That's it. If you follow this, should be fine.
Yes, sir.
I think the quantitative remote sensing by one of the earliest authors, I say, Professor Ishwar, if you remember, quantitative remote sensing.
Swain and Davis, sir?
Swain and Davis, I think. He has given some guidelines about this number also.
Okay. Okay, I'll check.
I don't remember now. That was the first book almost on, before even our Lillis and Kiefer came into being.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Okay.
I think something is given. Sushant, who asked this question?
Sushant, yeah.
Sushant, if you are in campus, you can check
Sir.
Swain and Davis, quantitative remote sensing. In our library, it used to be there.
Swain and Davis.
Author's name, yeah, Swain and Davis.
And quantitative remote sensing is the title.
Okay, sir.
One of the very early books. I am not saying much. Later on, many books came and all that. Something he has given, maybe still whether it is valid or not, I am doubtful. That was.
Any other questions?
No. If there are no questions, I can ask Cuckoo some of these small things. Cuckoo.
Okay.
Can you listen to me? Well, you able to
Yes,
listen?
sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
One thing is when you select for agriculture or for water, probably area of interest can be seen by drawing a, whatever it is.
Polygon.
Because the time you can save, and moreover it will be taken anyway average, either 50 or anything is in that may be little better. Whereas when you talk about settlements, probably you may be right. Unless there is a thick conglomeration of settlements, then it is okay. Otherwise, I think because individual points may be, finally you have to take an average and the spread also will be taken into account anyway. Maybe that region of interest may be a little better.
Okay, sir.
That is one. And then the classification when we carry out for this, accuracy, I think it is better to call error matrix only instead of confusion matrix is a colloquial term.
Okay, sir.
Now, what I mean is, it is what is it? Whatever that you have taken training samples, only they should be classified for error matrix. Not you don't take anything. Strictly speaking, what we have done is supervised classification is a pseudo supervised classification because we don't have really training samples which we have collected from the field.
Yes, sir.
So we take this. So this is actually called pseudo supervised. Supervised means you need to go to the field and collect the samples. Once you have collected the samples, only they will be classified. All our classification accuracy that what is that confusion matrix? Sorry, is error matrix is based on only training samples.
Okay, sir.
Validation and all that. Again, we do not know. You are only seeing from this, so that's why it is that. And then our maps, then significance of producers and users. Producers as such is only the fellow who produces. If Sushant produces a map, Sushant knows, that's it. As a user, if I am using, I know only user's accuracy. Producer accuracy is limited to, no, this is not for you, but in general. It is limited only and only to the producer. Nobody else knows what is the producer's accuracy because others do not know. As a user, I know only user's accuracies. Of course, there are all commission, omission error also, which I think Professor Ishwar will be taking it in theory. So that is, true color composite doesn't actually represent true color because we have 7 colors, which we are only giving blue, green, and red. the hues and colors that what you see on the terminal of a computer is going to be different when you print out. False color also again a combination of that only. So in relay sense, because that is the limitation, so we call it as true color. That is the best that we can say. So this, I think, even if you print a color one, what you see on the screen is going to be different when you take a printout. You can see for yourself. But these are the things that I think you should be aware. Yeah. Thank you, Kuku. That is it.
Oh, thank you, sir.
So students, any questions?
Sir,
Yeah,
in the
there are-
previous
Yeah, Chiranjeev, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, in the previous session or exercise, we didn't take any bands for the consideration. Here we have taken only 7. That was the, I mean, can we not take all the bands?
Actually, like last class also, you can here for surface reflectance only 7 bands are there. No, that's why I have taken the 7 bands. So there also you can take 7 bands for supervisor. So I just randomly selected the 7 bands.
Ma'am, also in while using the Sentinel image, we are getting the B2, B3, and B4 have 10 meters spatial resolution, and B5 is, I think, 15 or 20.
Actually, there you can actually convert all the resolutions to a single resolution, or just when you are doing, just select the bands which is having same resolution.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, this scale what we are implying with this 30 what you have given, is that the same spatial resolution?
Yeah, this for Landsat 8, the spatial resolution is 30, right? So that I have given here as well.
So while if we consider the Sentinel image, if we have several bands, then what is the scale we should choose? I mean, for the RGB it is 10, but for others I think it's different, 20 or 50.
Yeah, 20 for like SWR bands and all, it is changing. So you can either select 10, resample everything to one scale, or else like select only the bands which is having 10 meter resolution for classification.
Okay, ma'am.
Any other thing?
This, does the 7 band contain any thermal?
No, sir.
Then it's okay.
So there are no
What is
questions.
the optimum number of bands that can be used for classification? Question for the students. Any answer? They have had to learn all this. So
Yeah, they have to learn, sir. They haven't been told.
anyway, in the classification accuracies, you can talk more in detail in theory.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Not yet started. Maybe in the last week I will do, I think, this topic. So yeah, students. So basically, we have like Kuku has demonstrated what is possible with us. As Professor Rao said, essentially supervised classification should be done with field data, both the training as well as validation side. So there are like slightly different rules we should follow when we collect samples for validation and then samples for training. So it is like not a straightforward task, but with the kind of resource limitations we have, we are doing everything from a satellite image, assuming it what we are doing is correct. Basically here what we are doing is we are first doing a visual interpretation, that is seeing a satellite image first, identifying what feature is there, and using that visual interpretation as an input to the supervised classifier. So this is not in a true sense a supervised classification. Maybe you can call it as like a combination of visual plus visual interpretation plus supervised classification, like that you can say. Okay. So actually visual interpretation have not taught to you the interpretation keys and all. Sir, are you teaching anything in photogrammetry, photo interpretation?
No, photo interpretation has become remote sensing. Nah, that's why I'm not.
Okay, okay. Even here, I don't find time to teach
those
it.
7 elements.
Anyway, I'm not teaching it. Okay,
No,
let me see, sir.
You should at least tell them those 7 elements.
Yeah. Okay.
And then when they come to the lab, we can show some of these our satellite
Hard
pictures.
copy photographs.
Hard copy
images.
and then say let them.
True.
You may not speak much, but at least tell them 7 elements.
Okay, I'll see. Okay, sir. Fine. Okay. So yeah, basically that's what we are doing, identifying by visual clues, using that as input to the supervised classifier. So maybe for the time being you do this, but theory behind the different things, what rules, what are the basic guidelines we should follow, what more about producer's accuracy, user's accuracy, kappa statistics, all those things I'll try to teach in theory. Okay, I will do that before your course ends. 5th November is your deadline. I'll try to teach all these concepts before that. Yeah. Any questions?
So what is the minimum accuracy that we require for this image to be used as for a further analysis? I mean, if we are getting 84% or 95.
That is also like a very tricky question to answer, Chiranjeev. It doesn't have a proper answer and it will vary based on the application that you are going to use. Say for example, you have a classified map where like overall accuracy is something around 70%. But let us say here you got like water bodies have 100% accuracy for both producers and users. So let us assuming water bodies are currently classified. Even though the overall accuracy is just 70%, and if your application is to map all the water bodies in your region, this map will be good enough for your purpose because all the water bodies are correctly classified. So, but say for example, let us say you want to map all the urban settlements. Maybe water is 100, but urban may be much lower, say only 50% accuracy. You cannot use this map. So it depends on first thing, the application you want to use and also the kind of level of accuracy you need for the application. So some application will need very high accuracy. Say for example, revenue taxation purposes, they will produce cadastral maps. Like nowadays everything is like digital. They are producing it using like a digital classification only, using very high resolution images. For them, even like a simple misclassification from urban to commercial is going to cause a lot of problem. A commercial land parcel will be heavily taxed when you compare with a residential land parcel. So those accuracy will matter a lot. Even like a 1 pixel mismatch is not tolerated there. But let us say you are mapping like all the forest in a region, 1 or 2 pixels mapping going here and there won't affect you much. So it depends on the application that you are currently working on, Chiranjeev. So there's no correct number to say, okay, this is the minimum accuracy you require. Normally in olden days, when some agencies ask someone to do classification, they will specify our need is this much accuracy for these classes or for overall accuracy, they will specify. So based on that, the remote sensing person will work. That's all. No correct rule actually.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Yeah. So what is the further step after this? I mean, okay, we have classified, then what do? Actually, we can also see the image through the that map, satellite image. Then what further analysis can we do on this classified image?
Okay, that's a good question. So what you are seeing on a satellite image is like we have to do visual interpretation to identify what is what, right? But this map is kind of now like a separate layer or a separate image. You can use it for like various applications. Let us say government is asking you to identify potential land parcels where you can build a bridge to connect 2 points A and B. You must have a land cover map of that area to decide, because that bridge should not pass through reserve forest. It should not pass through already dense urban settlements. There can be some rules and regulations. You must have like a land use parcel. Every time you cannot go do a visual interpretation of Google Earth satellite image and then do it. So having such land cover maps will be beneficial for various applications. I just told one example related to civil engineering, but there are plenty of examples. Even in like my research area, like ET mapping, we use land cover maps to some extent for something. Definitely, you should know what land cover is there in the pixel.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions? Okay, fine. Then I think we may stop. I think today was like the longest exercise or longest explanation given by Kuku. And Kuku, you did a good job today explaining the producers accuracy, users accuracy, and all. So I think my job is easier when I explain it in theory. So good one. So with students, with this, we actually complete all the lab exercises. What next 2 weeks are there? Maybe I will let you know in theory class what we plan further. We may have an exam for lab, not yet decided. If it is there, I will inform you as soon as possible. I'll discuss with Professor Rav and let you know. Okay. So maybe once you submit this exercise, all your lab exercises will be over for this particular semester. But if you have any doubts, you can always ask. If you really have like doubts in any one particular exercise or overall you have a lot of doubts, if you need, we can have one more lab session next week to clear it, but only if you need. We don't have any agenda, but if you need to clear any doubts or want to do some hands-on on certain exercises, I'll be happy to take it forward. So let me know. Anyway, tomorrow theory will be meeting. Next week also will be meeting for theory close. During that, let me know, and then we will take a call based on that. So I think we will stop now.
So assignment.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, you haven't explained. Sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
So assignment, you have to like the same region you have used for the previous exercise. You can use the same region. Classify the Sentinel-2 image to 7 different classes using CART algorithm. Display the classified map and legend representing each of the classes. Then you have to compute the overall accuracy, users, producers accuracy in capacity statistics. Also, as I've shown here in Excel sheet, just use the error metrics and manually calculate, like in the Excel sheet, you have to calculate the users, producers, and overall accuracy. And while you submitting the assignment, submit the Excel sheet also. So here I will update how to resample that Sentinel image to 1 resolution. Otherwise, you can just use the bands which is having 10-meter resolution. Also, while collecting the training data, like Rao sir said, you can, instead of points, you can use polygons. If it is like larger area, means you can use polygon and collect the data. So assignment deadline next Tuesday we will give or?
Yeah, we will give routinely. 1 week should be fine. Yeah.
Okay. Sir.
Next Tuesday as usual. And 7 classes, is there any specific classes you are going to ask, Coco, or any 7 classes?
Because I have given them their hometown they can use. So whatever features they are finding there, they can classify randomly. They can take any 7 classes.
Okay.
Sir,
yeah.
I have a doubt. Sir, whenever classifying into 7 classes, last time also I saw for last assignment, after classification, there are many wrongly classified images. Sir.
Pixels,
and then most of the built-up areas will also going into barren land because of the same reflectance thing and all.
It can happen, Sushant. So we cannot escape that because we are doing something crude, not really accurate what we are doing. Some crude exercise we are doing, so tend to happen.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So I thought 7 classes, when you are classifying into more number of classes, then it's becoming
more problematic.
Yes, sir.
I think, Coco, even I felt that. I was about to say we can maybe say just 5 classes.
Okay, I thought sir like Sentinel is 10 meter. That's why I just maybe like they can.
No, I understand, but you know, we are just
Yeah.
doing visual interpretation, doing it right. So let us keep it as 5.
5 classes. Okay,
Yeah,
sir.
5 class. Whatever you did today, let them do the same thing.
Okay, sir.
Whether
Let us-
5 or 10, there will be some the classes will be wrong and all that. There is no way to escape because it is all only specular. Sorry, specular. What is that? Based on the reflectance.
Yeah.
So if you want to go through, there are other modifications. Even a pixel can be a mixed pixel. So there are others, advanced object oriented and all that based on something as a base and then build up over it. There are so many things. There is no way. Only this reflectance is being, taken out. So if it is similar reflectance, it is bound to be classified as the same.
Yeah, true.
There is no way to escape.
True. If someone says 100% accurate map, then we won't believe them. That's all. It's impossible.
100% is all, for a human being, tick marking in every aspect of best. So,
Sir, I don't know whether you remember our 2 years back, our MTech students came with 99% accurate maps for their MTP project. So it can happen with our students, sir. Okay. So I think that's it for the class. That's it for remote sensing lab, at least for
just one small doubt, Cuckoo.
Yes, sir.
So 5 or 10, whatever you take, is every pixel is forced in the region to get into one class?
Actually, here
Or
I
there will be
haven't.
unclassified pixels?
There were many. No, not unclassified. All the pixels we are forced into like one class. Unclassified pixels are not.
One or the other class, I mean, that is
Yes,
what.
sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine.
anything else, sir?
No.
Anything else from student side? Okay.
No, sir, clear.
Okay then. So see you all. Maybe if you need, we will meet for lab next week. Otherwise, I will let you know what to do with the lab. In theory class, I will just let you know. Yeah. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Cuckoo.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, Cuckoo.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.